morning, my standout runners. This is Shappy here for you for another standout review featuring today the Tracksmith Eliot Ryder. So let's first go over Tracksmith. I've talked about them before in my other videos. They are an apparel company that is relatively kind of fancier. They're like your Ivy League look, Princeton, New England, that classic with the stash and everything. So on their clothes, I'm wearing one of their shirts right now. I am a big fan of their clothes. I think they make very good running shoes, and I was very, very excited to try this shoe, but it really did not work out for me. So how did we get to this shoe is the first question. So apparel companies, which means companies that focus on clothes, are making a lot of their own shoes. In fact, Lululemon makes several running shoes. I've never tried one. I don't really have a want to, but they are making their own shoes. I believe the running company Rabbit makes their own shoes now. Obviously, Tracksmith. And I'm even going to say Under Armour is an apparel company because their shoes are not the greatest. And if you went up to someone and say, hey, what do you think of Under Armour? They would probably think of the clothes first. Henceforth, I consider them an apparel company. All right. So Tracksmith started making shoes several years ago, and their very first shoe was a daily runner, which is a good shoe to start with. Something people can wear every day. Now, the feel of it was a little bit narrow. Very nice upper, a little bit firmer sole, midsole. So it was kind of very similar to the Rad Synth, the Hoka Mach 7, or even your Nike Pegasus. So it had a very similar feel to that, and I really enjoyed it. I ran a lot of miles in it, and I really liked it to wear around casually because I think it's such a good looking shoe. All right. Then I think at some point later they made a trail shoe. I don't really know a lot about the trail shoe. I don't do trail shoes. Maybe sometime, but not right now. Now I'm too focused on the road. So the next road shoe was the Eliot Racer. And that was a fantastic race day shoe that is severely underrated. Not enough people know about it. It is very similar to the Ryder, actually, in the way the shoe is designed. It has a drop-in midsole, meaning most of that foam, that cushioning, is in the insole, which you put into the shoe, and then you had the carbon fiber going through the bottom of it, and that made a very cushioned, responsive shoe. It was also pretty stable. I mean, not the most stable, but it's pretty good platform. It felt looser to me than the Eliot Runner. So I would compare that shoe to the SC Elite V5, the Hoka Rocket X3, or the Saucony Endorphin Pro 5. These are very accessible carbon fiber shoes that you could use for intervals or even daily runs if you wanted to. Then finally came their attempt for a max cushion shoe, the Tracksmith Eliot Ryder. Now, the purpose of this shoe, who is this shoe designed for? This shoe is designed for people who want to go on a recovery run, maybe a bigger runner, a lot of cushion to it, more responsive than I thought it would be, and just a really steady pace shoe. It's not going to have a lot of versatility to it. It's kind of a one-trick pony, but does it do that trick well is the question. This is also a fantastic shoe because of how it looks. I mean, it is a very good looking shoe. Compare this to any other running shoe out there, and you're not getting close to this. Tracksmith has really focused on this design of this up-class looking shoe. And also, if you're looking at it, they hide the stack. So it doesn't look like your Nike Vomero Premium or Hoka Skyward X2s where you're like up on a high platform. It looks super low, and it's a nice look to have, especially if you're someone who during work you have a lunch break, or you're going after work to go for a run or something. This is a great shoe for that. A shoe you want to go grocery shopping in or shopping in afterwards. This is a great shoe for that. Sorry, my cats are running around and distracting me. Or what I was really hoping, really hoping, is this would be the perfect travel shoe, something that would get you um, walking around, looking nice, dress up if you wanted to, wear shorts, jeans, whatever you want, khakis, and then do your workouts, your runs in. So that is what the shoe is really designed for. So let me first talk about the ride. The ride is not at all what I expected. I really thought it was going to be a cushioned plush shoe, a la your Vomero Plus, your Super Blast 3, your Mag Max, Nitro Mag Max 2, a really like just robust cushioned shoe. Um, but that is not what we got. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I was pleasantly surprised that it was such a. They're trying to claw at the wall. I mean, sorry, I'll focus on the review now. All right, so it doesn't have that feeling. While the upper is very nice, it's built like a max cushion shoe. The midsole is firmer than I thought. Dare I say firm, but has a lot of bounce to it. Not a lot of bounce, but it has more energy than any of the other shoes I previously mentioned. And I was very surprised by that. And I really like that feel. So this is going to be a nice sink-in, responsive shoe that's going to give your legs plenty of protection for your easy recovery runs. So that's the feel. All right, so let's get into the breakdown of the shoe overall, talking about the good and the bad. All right, so looking at the upper, the good. They use an engineered mesh that is very luxurious. They spared no expense, and their price shows that. They have a nice cushioned heel and all on the sides. The tongue, which I really appreciated, is one gusseted. Always a big fan of that. And two, it's comfortable, but it's not overly thick. I really don't like a tongue that's super thick. It just really feels heavy. Uh, I do appreciate the width of the shoe. So you can see that it's a nice wide shoe. It's definitely their widest shoe of the other ones that they have made because of giving that extra max cushion room, which makes it a very stable shoe in the most part. All right. So those are my goods. My bads of the upper. So I honestly am not a fan of the laces. I am picking on my laces. These are just so big and so clumsy feeling, and they're really long. Like you can just tell, like this is like double knotted, and it's still like hanging over the sides. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of the heel. That is very wide, and so I think you don't get a lot of kind of push down or lock in sensation. I'm not a fan of how heavy it is. I like it's a good looking shoe. I get that. They nailed that. But overall, it feels like they did too much. You have rubber padding coming here. You have like excess padding in the back. This extra bit kind of like it doesn't really do anything. You have rubber all here and here. All like inlays all over the place, and I just feel like it adds so much weight to the shoe that they really could have used to get down. All right, so that is the upper. Now looking at the midsole, and so let me show you how they actually make this midsole so comfortable, or get there. So here is the shoe. All right, so you have a dual mid foam. It doesn't look like you have any stack to it, but you do. So this is a second layer of foam, so it's a dual foam blend. It's very firm, and it's more of your stabilizing foam. And then, as I pulled out, you have your drop-in insole. Now that is a big slab of foam. using a TPEE foam, which means it's light, it's responsive. Probably my favorite foam being used now, and most running shoe companies are going to that foam. So you have all this stack here that your foot sits directly on, and it really makes a pleasant experience. So that's how they do their foam. So I have no bad notes on it. I think the foam feels fantastic. However, there is a problem that we'll get to. And that has to do with, well, I'll get to that in a second. Let me finish talking about the shoe overall. Next, last, you have the outsole. Now, the outsole, I'm going to break this in good and bad, and they're going to kind of contradict themselves. The good is this outsole is very well covered in like kind of a gum rubber. You're going to have plenty of traction. It's going to be durable. This shoe is going to last you for a very long time, and it's going to have great grip no matter where you hit. That's a good thing. The bad thing is, again, I think they're keeping this shoe heavier than it needs to be by having all of this outsole onto the shoe. Excuse me. You easily could have shaved some more weight by taking some of this off. There's plenty of shoes that have a great outsole, but don't cover the whole shoe, and it still lasts a long time. So I think that was a missed opportunity. All right, now here's the thing that makes this shoe not good for me, and what really I just like it. And I seem to be the only one that feels this way. If you look at the shoe, you see it looks like you have a nice, easy rocker right there. All right? So it looks like it comes up, and so it should make a gentle roll off. There's no reason why it shouldn't, but for some reason, despite all the runs I put into it, I always feel like I'm landing like a brick, and it does not feel good. Like I actually hurt my left foot and had to take several days off from running, which, it's probably not the shoe's fault. It might be because I'm adding more mileage in there. That being said, you get injured in a new shoe, you can't help but feel associated. Like that is the cause. So I do have that feeling. So this is a no-go for me because of that reason, which makes me so sad about it. All right. So let me talk about the fit real quick. I already told you that it is wide. However, it should be known. I'm going to show you an image. This is a picture of my wife's foot. She has both the runner and the rider. And as you can see, the runner looks longer. It narrows out and goes longer, whereas the rider becomes wider, but also shorter. So if you have run in their previous shoes, you might want to go up a half size. My wife usually wears a women's size 9, and she probably needed a 9.5 to be fully comfortable. But we haven't tried that yet because that also has a chance of being too wide for her because she does have narrow feet. So that can be a bit of a fit problem overall. All right, now what I haven't done is I have not talked about the specs, so let's get into that. This shoe weighs about in my size 11, 10.7 ounces, and that's a bit more than 300 grams. So this is a heavier shoe, but like I said, there's a lot of ways they could take some of that weight off and really make this fantastic. All right, everything in here with the insole in there and everything, you have 45 millimeters in the heel and 37.5 millimeters in the forefoot, giving you a 7.5 drop, which is not bad. I'm typically, myself, I like anything for a 4 to 8, so it's within that range for me. So that is good. The price is going to run you $220. So we'll talk about that in a second. Now, let me get into my ratings. All right, so overall design of the shoe. Looking at this, I'm giving it a B. The reason why is I think they tried to do too much. They added too many things, and also for a personal reason, as someone who has worn all their road shoes, I'm kind of getting bored with the look. I get it's your design and everything, but make it look different. Um, like for example, a company that does a really good job at this, and I really enjoy them, is Rad with their UFO, their synth, and their Mallow. I think it's the Mallow. Um, I'm not a fan of all their shoes. I love the UFO. The other ones don't really work for me. However, that being said, is they really stand out for their colors. They really have these bright, vibrant colors that look super, super cool. Their shoes look different, but they're they're colorful. That's what they do. Um, so you get different rides. Now, granted, all the Tracksmiths serve a different purpose, but some of them start to feel the same. In fact, honestly, I think the Racer is the exact same foam as this. It's a very, very similar feel. So that is a big it kind of makes it a little bit boring because I feel like I'm just getting the same shoe over and over again, even though I'm not, if that makes sense. So design, I'm giving it a B. Upper, because of the laces, the open heel, the all the extra weight to it, and everything, I'm actually going to give that a C. I think it's so good looking. I get it so good looking, but again, I bought this hoping to run in it, and I think this takes away from being a running shoe and more gears it toward a lifestyle shoe. So I have a B for design, C for the upper. Now the midsole, I'm giving it an A. I was so surprised how bouncy it was in the cushion ride. I really enjoyed it. So anytime you really surprise me in a good way, I'm going to give you an A. So A there. And finally, we're going to the price, $220. Look, there's a lot to consider right here. You have the Tracksmith tax, meaning it was made by Tracksmith, so it's going to be more expensive. Some companies are like that. On is another example. They always make things more expensive than they need to be, and this is the same thing with Tracksmith. So you expect that prices. They use a lot of really nice material, so that's going to up the price. It's going to last you a super long time. So that 220 looks understandable. All right, now I'm going to look at this as a runner. Just for a running shoe, 220 is too much for this shoe because it lacks a lot of versatility. You can use it for like one speed and its recovery. I tried to pick up the pace in this, I just couldn't do it, and that is me. But you have things like the Vomero Plus, the Super Blast 3, the Neo Vista 3, even this the Skyward X2, I feel like I can pick up the pace on a little bit, not a lot, but I feel like it has much more range than this shoe. So for the price, I'm going to give it a B because it does have a lot of upside to it, but that goes down. So that leaves me with a B, a C, an A, and a B. Overall, I'm going to give this shoe a C, and that's probably unfair, but I was just so disappointed. I was so excited for this shoe. So I'm giving it an overall C rating. And now I get that most reviewers really like the shoe. They completely disagree with me, and I completely understand. That's very fair. All right, so there are my ratings for the shoe. Moving on, let's talk about some comparisons. So the first shoe I want to compare it to is what I wanted it to be. So I was actually hoping one of my favorite shoes right now is the Hoka Skyward X2. I love this shoe. I think it's so smooth, such an it's got cushion to it, but it has that good pushback with the carbon fiber plate inside. It is also a heavier shoe. I believe I didn't check the stats. I believe this is even heavier than the Eliot Ryder, but I just feel like I can run in it so much smoother. Now, I was expecting that kind of cushion plush feel in the Ryder. I did not get that. That is perfectly fine. And obviously, you can look at like the drop is so insane how different it looks, and they're relatively similar, right? So I believe if they took the geometry of this shoe and put it on here, it would be absolutely fantastic and absolutely incredible. All right. So the next shoe I want to compare it to is, and also this is also $220. So you're getting for the same price, more of a traditional running shoe. And also, I really like the fit of this. It's wide enough, so there's a lot of similarities. But again, like I said, the upper is just, I really like the upper to this, and that's the big sell point for me based on the feel. All right, the next shoe is kind of a surprise me wanted to compare with, and that's going to be the Hyper Boost Edge. And I get it. This is a completely different style of shoe, but honestly, when I felt the feel of the Tracksmith, it kind of reminded me a lot of this shoe because it has like that firmer foam feel, but also gives you plenty of spring back. Now this is a lot lighter. This is a lot springier. This is much more versatility, and more so even, this shoe is cheaper for $200, and that's absolutely incredible for this shoe. Now, however, as much as I complained about the upper to this shoe, I do prefer it over this upper. I think this upper is poorly made. I'm not going to say poorly made. It doesn't make sense to me as a running shoe, and I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. I get plenty of hot spots from it, and it has really dampened my experience of this shoe because I honestly feel like this is the best feeling foam out there and my favorite run experience to date. All right, so there's some comparisons for you. So my final words on this is I really like Joanna's podcast and his reviews, and I like how he asked 3 questions. So I'm going to do the same thing of my own. So I have my own set of 3 questions to ask. Number 1, does it fill a hole in my lineup? Is it helping build my lineup to be better? And right now I was looking for a shoe that I can use plenty of miles in, get plenty of cushion, and protect my legs for added easy days or whatever I need to build my mileage up. And I already have, as I showed you, the Hoka Skyward X2. I also already have the On Cloud Monster 3 Hyper, and I prefer those. So is this helping me in my lineup? No, it's not right now. All right, number 2. My question is, am I excited to running it? My first time, yes, I was very excited to run in this shoe. Am I excited to go back to it? No, I don't really want to run it again. So no. And finally, the most important question I ask is number 3, will my wife be annoyed if I buy it? And can I give her enough reasoning as why I need this shoe? And that one is honestly, I could probably convince her because she likes the shoe herself. She really likes the shoe, so I can be like, hey, I like it too. And it's going to be hard for her to say no since she also got it. So for that reason, why it makes sense that she would say yes to the shoe. Now, it's very rare that I get a yes to number 3. So the fact that the first 2 were no makes me feel like I am going to return the shoe after all the miles I put into it. But that being said, it is a good looking shoe and it could be cool walking around in it. All right. So that's what I have for the Tracksmith Eliot Ryder. I know a lot of people are really enjoying it. I really hope you get it and you enjoy it. I have no inkling to make Tracksmith look bad. Plenty of people are going to completely disagree with me, but that is my own take. This is my channel, so I do my own reviews. I obviously don't have any sponsors. I obviously don't get sent anything, and I'm obviously not paid for my reviews. So this is 100% honesty, and thank you so much for tuning in. Always remember, be bold, be fast, be good. I messed that up. Sorry. Let me do that again. Be bold, be fast, be you. And most importantly, remember, whether you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. Thank you. Like and subscribe.